in the conversation with Deborah, all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, we have to have this conversation with Mandy. Like there is through your ideas and perception, through your eyes, we will get to have an experience together. We'll get to have an interconnection that we wouldn't have if it wasn't the three of us on this screen. And, you know, the natural world for me right now is such a brilliant blueprint for not just the ecosystem that we are as a body, because I've been exploring that a little bit, but also how the energetic ecosystem, how all of that communicates and dances and essentially what we know through well systems, that signal 1 to signal 4, like allowing that to be the what we come to trust and what we come to allow to be what informs just natural growth and natural transformation, and not forcing anything, not trying to make something happen. And then that led me down another path around energy, and this woman who's actually a CEO of a company. And she's this beautiful, like, just, you could feel her vibrancy in her life and her passion for new thought. It was a TED Talk. And so she talked about trust, intuition, and belief connected to energy. And so the few little notes that I made, and then I'm going to be quiet because I know that I just had to kind of bring all this out on the table. So it's like we're sitting around the round table, Mandy, and we just lay everything out and then begin to pick up pieces and see how things connect. So what she shared in this video was the greatest thoughts. So trust allows the greatest thoughts to flow undeterred by human insecurity. And trust is what allows the deepest form of connection in relationships. And then she went on to talk about intuition, and she talked about feeling being the greatest essence of authentic communication. And then she talked about belief, and belief being the experiences that we have and the knowledge that we acquire and that lives inside of us. And she said, you know, belief is the rational side of energy. And I thought that was a really cool reframe for me, to take what is energetic, to take what is this like ecosystem that is ever evolving and happening inside of me, and to allow that to form a belief, to have this moment of this is what I believe. And so I share that with you guys just to put everything out on the round table. And I know it's going to go magical places, and I know that the thought leaders that we each are, and the deep feelers that we each are, and our ability to take something and create whole new beliefs around things for ourselves that inform each other. So that's kind of my check-in to just open the space for myself.
I'm going to jump in with one thought, which came from what you said, Naomi, which is really interesting to me. You know, we talk a lot in Wealth Systems about the idea of signals dancing, trying to create a situation in the body so signal 1 can flow through and we can emerge as signal 4 pure, as purely, you know, and as unadulterated from signal number 1 as possible. And that feels like that is an ongoing mission. Sometimes I feel more successful, sometimes less successful. And I know it's the 2-3 dance that clogs up the entire thing in between. So the external messages I received and how I interpreted them and how I carry myself stop the flow of my essence from being realized, fully expressed in this world. So if that's happening in my body as an organic system, Mandy, it would be interesting for me to hear from you about what's the equivalent in the natural world to that. What is signal number 1 in the natural world? What's signal number 4 in the natural world? And what's clogging that up?
I think you've created this conversation for me to feel not quite as an odd duck as I normally do, because I've been in many conversations and I always have these like metaphors of how it relates to the soil, and I feel like that's what you're asking for quite intentionally. So working backwards is what I had a sense of when you were saying that, and I don't know in this moment, so I'll wander in my words and see if it emerges what signals equivalent or that metaphor when dealing with the natural world would be. But what I do know and what I have experienced is in this time and place on the planet with so much disruption and unnatural processes, chemicals, toxins, methods of farming, what this human civilization has done, what we do witness is this great resilience in the framework and the dimensions of ecology. So at each level, we're seeing specific plant species and animals and insects and microbiology in the soil stepping up in ways they never have historically, that we can record, acting in unnatural ways or perhaps evolved ways to compensate for what we've done, what's happening, the imbalances. And it's this massive regulation system, like our immune system, where there's all of these intricacies and fine tunings, and everything has a role. Every specific type of microbiology in my body, fungi and viruses and bacteria and all of those things, have their own unique expression of how they are born, live, grow, and die, and the implications of that entire cycle. So you have bajillions of these different characters in this play just being themselves. And I think what's unique about human beings is we are the only species that tries to be something that we're not. We came here for a specific reason, each one of us uniquely, and because of the cultural conditioning and sort of where humanity has gotten to, we are trying to replicate others, which is an unnatural state. And so we see that in the homogenization of liposuction and lips and eyelashes, and like how we morph and change culturally, and how we look and in our practices. And that's not a natural thing. There is nothing on this planet that behaves in any other way than what they are and what they came here to do. There's no exception to that. And so somewhere in that, I think if we were to discuss that in some way, would emerge that, 2-3, whatever the signals dancing is in that way. And so it's tricky because I think sometimes it's evolution and sometimes it's habits and patterns and strategies that were passed to us, old beliefs, those sorts of things. And so for me, the deciphering in my own self and my own experience has just been bringing it back here when I'm making a choice, when I'm engaging with an ecology or a specific task in terms of growing. And I bring it back here to listen for that which I can't see and can't gauge scientifically under the microscope, or because of a smell or a touch, or because I know that I am ignorant to so much life that goes on. I can't see it, I can't hear it, I can't smell it, but I know it's there. And so in the same way, in my relational life as a human, in my own evolution, sometimes I'll remove myself from a situation and just listen. What's under the surface of that? That's my signal. That's signal number one arriving. I listen for her in a different way. And I feel like the natural world requires that of us, and we've stopped listening. And so thus stopped emanating our true essence. And in doing so, we've disconnected from our true essence, and therefore are doing harm to others in that way because of that. And the natural world doesn't, even if they're sentient, and there's degrees of belief around that, about what animals and insects and all of those things feel and know and understand, and we have no idea. We should assume they all are. Rocks, plants, and our indigenous teachings teach us this as well. We've forgotten our role. And when I look and when I allow myself to fully heal and sense that presencing in the presence of nature in whatever form that takes, next to a river, in a forest, on my lawn, I don't know what it's doing, but I know that it aligns me with me. More of that one can come when I'm just being me.